We're here with Lance Romero for another episode. Another episode of Flight Tales.
Woo. Huh?
You would be the guy to not do it.
It's so forced.
Okay. Well, back to how you got into aviation. Starting from when you were a kid.
So
you liked airplanes. I don't know if that's true. I'm just making stuff up.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this thing looks expensive.
Yeah, try not to mess up the airplane.
So from a really young age, I always enjoyed playing with fire trucks and airplanes.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
I managed to do both of those. I
like fire. Yeah.
I was a volunteer firefighter for 10 years in Scott.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you. Yeah, I didn't know you then.
No, that was high school, and I think I started in 10th grade there.
Okay.
As a junior firefighter, and kind of worked my way through it for 10 years. And then, same time I started being a firefighter, my dad happened to know a guy out of Abbeville, another contractor, that had an airplane, Cessna Cardinal.
Oh, yeah.
And he offered to take my dad and I up on a Saturday morning. So I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds fun. I've never flown before. So we went over to Abbeville, met him, got in the airplane, and as soon as we took off, he just handed me the controls. He's like, yeah, here, you're sitting up front. Go ahead and fly.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was terrified and excited all at the same time.
How old did you say you were?
You were probably like
junior in high school.
16 or 17, huh?
So it's not like it's like a 9-year-old that he's just
I was not 6 trying to...
About 16 or 17, something like that.
Somewhere's in that area.
Yeah.
He had a little Garmin 430 in the panel. He's like, just follow the pink line. Like, that sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
Our first stop was New Iberia. Stopped, got a cup of coffee, and then we got back in and we took off again, and we ended up in Pineville for their monthly pancake breakfast.
Oh, yeah. I've never been, but I've heard about it.
It's great. Bunch of old dudes cooking all your favorite breakfast foods for $5.
Oh, that's... Do they still do that?
I believe they do.
Okay.
I've seen it advertised a couple times here and there. I think it used to be the third Saturday of every month.
Oh, we need to try to go.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Roll the fleet out.
Okay, yeah. Line them up.
And then we flew back, and from that moment, I pretty much told my parents, I'm going to be a pilot.
So that's it.
That was it. That was it. We went as far as, I think a couple months later, my mom found the afternoon class or evening class for ground school that you could sign up for. At the time, it was at UL.
Yeah.
She signed me up for it, and she'd take me to and from. It was on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. And that's kind of how I got started in aviation. And then once I graduated high school, my mom's an educator, bent on me going to college. And I was not a good student. It was terrible. Hated it. It was terrible. But she's like, you really need to go to college. At least just try it. Just try it. Okay. So we signed up for SLCC, went do a semester there. And there's this thing in college where like no one makes you go to class. It's awesome.
Yeah, you don't have to go to class. You just fail.
So I just kind of went to some classes.
Oh.
It was cool.
That's good enough.
Going into college and going to the few classes I went to, I really, really just was not happy.
Yeah.
Hated it. There's nothing about the college experience I enjoyed up to that point. So in my abundance of free time, because I wasn't going to classes.
Yeah.
I started looking at different flight schools and options and what to do. And I really wasn't quite ready to just move away. I was finding a bunch of ATPs and schools similar to that weren't anywhere near here. And then I found Vortex.
They were in New Iberia.
In New Iberia.
Yeah.
And I started looking into them, and they were a helicopter school. I'm like, well, that's different. But it kind of played into somewhat of the role I was already in as a firefighter.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Acadian.
Helping people and,
yeah.
The whole EMS side of helicopters. And that really intrigued me. Really enjoyed the aspect of helping people, saving lives.
Yeah.
So I went to my parents and we talked about it and went down to the school, visited with the owner there, Mr. Joe. And next thing I knew, I was signed up to start flying helicopters. And, well, it was fun.
Yeah. Because you don't fly helicopters now.
No, I fly really cool jets.
You got to, you went all the way to commercial and.
Yeah. So I started out ground school for private, worked my way through instrument, made it through commercial. And I started my instructor ratings.
Okay. You did the writtens, huh?
I did the writtens. I did the ground school. I built the CFI book.
Oh.
Got a big fancy 4-inch binder.
With all the lessons?
All the lessons. Color printed and all. I mean, it was fancy.
Guaranteed to pass.
No, there's no guarantee in life. But I never finished the training, never took the check ride. I really wasn't interested in teaching.
Yeah.
Especially in a helicopter. They're hard.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. They're a lot of work in a lot of different aspects. I ended up building about 1,400 hours in helicopter after I was done training. I was doing odd things.
Did you have a job or you were just?
No, I had a job, just not in aviation. My dad owns a construction company.
Oh.
So I was out swinging hammers and building
so that was
things.
your job, but it wasn't a helicopter job.
No, I would build things and break things, and my dad would yell at me. And we'd build more things.
He would yell at us when we did all this work.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I can relate. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I was Dr. Sebelia's safety pilot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That must have been scary.
Y'all are all welcome.
You kept him alive.
Mixed in with that, I moved helicopters around and hung out with a guy who did agricultural spraying out of helicopters.
Okay.
That was terrifying.
Yeah.
Don't recommend. You're going really fast, really low to the ground, and things happen really fast.
So, you come down. Come down a row of crops, and then you have to come up over the trees, and then come back around.
You do like a spinny thing, and then like if you do too much of a spinny thing, the ground comes fast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah, and like
I don't know anything about helicopters, so I'm just.
Yeah. I didn't know they had terms like spinny thing.
Spinny things.
There's a lot of spinny things on the spinny thing.
There's a spinny thing on top.
There's a spinny thing in back that spins the other way.
Yeah.
And then there's spinny things inside of the spinny thing that make the big spinny thing spin.
So everything's spinning.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you did crop dusting for a while.
No, I never did crop dusting. Let's be clear on that.
Oh.
I never applied any chemical. I never flew with the arms attached. I just flew the helicopters from place to place.
Yeah,
I repositioned them.
Yeah, okay.
One of his big money makers, aside from spraying cane, was spraying corn in Iowa.
So you would
at
go
a
to
particular
Iowa?
time of the year. So we moved a couple helicopters up to Iowa, then we moved them back. So that's how I built a lot of the helicopter time I have.
It takes a long time to get to Iowa in a helicopter.
Yeah, I think it was like 6 hours.
Oh, well, that's not.
No.
That's better than I thought. I thought it'd take more time than that.
I tried to block that part of my life out.
Okay.
That was a cool trip because we got to follow the Mississippi River almost all the way up. Yeah, we flew. I don't think we ever went any higher than 1,000 feet. We stayed mostly 200-300 foot right over the river. We'd get tired or need a break. We just land on a little sandbar in the river, stretch our legs, splash in the water like some kids, jump in the helicopter and keep on going.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Get hungry, you just land at Waffle House.
You can't. You gotta be careful at the Waffle House. Gotta be careful.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. When did you decide to start getting into airplanes? Because you transitioned at some point.
I want to say around the time I was doing instrument training at what was Vortex turned into Bristow. My uncle, who was a car dealer, found himself owning 2 airplanes.
Oh.
I don't really know how it happened or how. I don't imagine somebody came trade planes in for cars. I don't know. He bought these 2 airplanes and he came to me and he's like, hey, I got 2 airplanes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. He's like, I don't know. Can you fly them? Sure. Why not?
Yeah. I'll get that license.
The guy that he bought them from offered to train me. That worked out for about 3 lessons and couldn't really get in touch with him after that.
Oh, so he fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah. He's around. He's floating around.
Okay.
Pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
He just really didn't have the time to train.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah.
I guess he thought he had more free time than he did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things. So, cue in Sean Botts.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about him and having him on the podcast.
Yeah, he's got to be a guest.
He'd
here
have
soon.
some good stories.
Great stories.
I have a story about when I first met him, but we're gonna wait for the Sean Botts podcast.
I think he'd love to hear that story. So, anyways, I wandered into the FBO and I see a dude just sitting on the couch.
Oh, that's how I met him too.
No, actually, I
think he was sleeping.
I said that on purpose because I
think he was sleeping when I met him.
Sean was a student at Bristow with me.
Okay.
He was quite a bit ahead of me in his training, but we went to the same school. I knew he had an airplane and he was a CFI in airplanes. So I approached him and said, hey, I need to learn how to fly an airplane. I've got one.
That's when he had the 150, right?
Yeah, he had that little 150.
Yeah, okay.
So he was more than happy to start my training in it. So we just started burning holes in the sky, learning how to fly an airplane while I was learning how to fly helicopters at the same time.
Yeah.
Which that was an interesting transition because in a helicopter, the approaches are very much the same, just a bit steeper.
Yeah.
But the big difference is at the very end, you got to stop and then land. If you try doing that in an airplane, it's not good.
No, it's not good. No. I've taught some helicopter pilots.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they like to get really slow on final and.
Yeah, well, because we're trying to we want to touch the numbers.
No, you gotta go keep your speed up till you get closer to the ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
keep moving.
Just keep going.
Keep moving.
So it took a couple lessons, and once we broke that barrier, it all came pretty easy. It was a lot easier to fly an airplane than a helicopter. But that's not really exactly what got me into the airplane world. It introduced me to it.
Yeah. My
goal was still to go fly EMS and maybe have an airplane personally to go play with. What really catapulted me into the fixed wing world was, I think it was 2013, 2014 time. I got a job at RLC in their dispatch room. Basically, we watched the helicopters fly around on a screen, make sure they didn't disappear into the Gulf.
Did y'all tell them about weather and flight? And I guess you don't do flight plans.
Not really. We just made sure that they didn't disappear into the Gulf, and they'd have to check in with us every time they landed and every time they took off.
Oh, okay. All right.
How many people they had on board, what fuel, and, basically we watched over them.
Yeah.
With the intention of working my way onto the flight line there.
It was kind of the foot in the door.
Foot in the door kind of deal. And it was going well until it wasn't going well. I walked into work one day and they pulled me into the office and said, hey, we lost about 40% of our business overnight last night. We're going to have to lose 40% of our employees.
Oh, my gosh.
Excuses.
Yeah. I'll sweep the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just, I went home that night and thought about it. It's like, well, I guess helicopters isn't it. I don't think it's going to bounce back overnight, and I don't know anymore.
They all got hit, didn't they? PHI, RLC, and Bristow. All
of them. So I just kind of went home and talked to my wife and my friends about it. It's like, I really love aviation. I want to fly something. So I was like, well, there's always airplanes. Those are fun. So I started reaching out to people, talking to my friends, talked to Sean.
Yeah.
And a couple other people, and they're like, dude, it's not going to be hard for you to transition. Just finish getting your ratings. Because I had started doing my fixed wing training with Sean, and
you had gotten your private.
Actually, I didn't.
Oh,
I cured about 100 hours.
Well, Sean was still in town though. Whenever you were still working on private.
Yes, Sean.
Because I know he moved away at some point.
Sean got me almost to solo. So I was about. Actually, he got me well past solo. I had about 20 or 30 hours of instruction with Sean. Never got around to soloing. We just kind of flew around, burned holes in the sky, and I learned a lot. Just never got around to it.
Y'all were just having fun.
We were just having a blast.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
But not getting
taking off,
done.
going find food and
yeah. Yeah.
And we got some lessons in. We learned a lot. Or I learned a lot. But never got to solo. At that point, Sean got his first big boy job and moved away.
Is that when he moved? He moved to New Orleans, right?
Right. He moved back home.
Yeah, okay.
And he was flying out of New Orleans.
I remember that.
Yep. And that's when I ran into Ron.
Oh, yeah. Ron Cullen. Yep.
And he took over, instructed me, and we went fly 3 or 4 lessons in my airplane. And he said, hey, pull over right here. I want to check something real quick. So we pulled off the taxiway. He gets out, looks at the airplane, and he just unplugs his headset. He goes, all right, I'll see you in a bit. Go do 3 takeoff and landings.
School way of doing it.
Yes. I was like, I am not prepared for this.
The only worst way would be if he jumped out of the plane in a parachute. I
was like, I need a friend. Can't be alone with my thoughts.
Yes.
And I took off and I survived, obviously.
Yep. Obviously, you made it back.
Yeah, I made it back. Didn't even scratch the airplane. It was great.
That's good.
After that, we went do a cross country or 2. He signed me off for that, and I was just burning fuel at that point. I just anywheres and everywheres I could think to go, I was flying that airplane.
Yeah.
And like I said,
what did he have? He had a 172.
He had a 172 and a 150.
Okay.
He, like I said, he was a car dealer.
Yeah.
Things came and went. So he called me one day. He's like, hey, Dad, airplanes are gone. Sold them. I was like, I didn't finish. I had so many things to do.
No, and you were still doing the helicopter flying.
So whenever he bought those airplanes,
he was simultaneously doing helicopters and
it might have been 2009. And he sold them in 2010. I don't think he kept them for more than a year. And
he never touched them.
No, he got in them one time. He was terrified to fly.
What?
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing with these things, man? But hey, I didn't complain too much. I got free use of an airplane, and it really got me where I am today.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Loved it. And they were some really nice airplanes for the most part. Well taken care of. Fast forward to 2014 when I got laid off at RLC.
Yeah.
I sat down with, I think it was Sean.
He hadn't moved yet.
No, he had moved. I had just called him, put him on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Talk for hours.
Oh. Okay.
Whimsical.
Yeah.
We started looking at my logbook and figuring out how much time I had, how much of that helicopter time I had built would transfer over and be credited towards something in the fixed wing. And it turned out I had just about everything I needed to go just brush up and get current in airplanes and do a check ride for commercial. So I was able to skip the private pilot check ride.
Oh, okay.
Fixed wing and go straight to a commercial
Yeah,
check
because
ride.
you need about 50 hours in airplanes, according to
I had
to get the commercial.
Right.
You need 50 hours in airplane.
I had built all that time up
Yeah.
in the fixed wing plus the rotor wing time I had.
Yeah.
I had all the time I needed to apply.
So is it basically if you pass the commercial, you were going to pass the private anyway?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Is that why you can skip it? Because if you can pass
you can't just start school, be like, I want to be a commercial pilot and go straight into commercial. You have to build your way there. So you have to get...
But because you've done stuff.
Because I had a commercial helicopter license.
Gotcha.
So technically I did take a private check ride. It was just in a helicopter.
Gotcha.
So
is that universal? So if anybody has a private check ride for a helicopter, they can take a commercial check ride for an airplane?
If you had enough time.
That's what
it's
I'm
the
wondering.
time.
Okay.
It's the time.
It's all about time.
So they don't have to have a private pilot check ride. They could just go straight to commercial if that.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more beneficial depending on what pathway you're trying to go down and what kind of time you have built already. Sometimes it's more beneficial for you to get your private pilot license, because once you get your private pilot license, as long as you're receiving instruction, you're able to log what's called PIC, pilot in command time. And that's really what you're trying to build to be hireable, is your PIC time. A lot of cases, like my buddy, he's a EMS pilot. He's trying to make the transition now into fixed wing. It would benefit him to do a private fixed wing license first, because he doesn't have the fixed wing time that I had coming into it.
Yeah.
So he can build his PIC time quicker. It's tough until you're able to sit down with someone like Ryan to look through your logbook, hear your story, and discuss what path you want to take. What kind of pilot do you want to be?
And I've heard some people say, I go, and I don't know how true this is, but they'll go all airplane, get private instrument, commercial, and airplane, and then hop over to helicopter. And I've heard that's a cheaper route than going helicopter.
I'll be the first one to admit I did it the most expensive way possible.
Yeah, okay.
I guess that was my other. Why is it cheaper that way?
Well, just airplanes cost less to operate than a helicopter. And like he was saying, everything moves on a helicopter, so everything has to be replaced. Everything's expensive. And an airplane, not all the parts move.
And some of those hours carry over to helicopter too?
A lot of my helicopter time carried over.
So, but it goes both ways?
Yes.
That's why it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So in my head, you go the airplane route, you take this many hours. You go the helicopter route, you take this many hours. No matter what, even if you do them both. But you're saying they kind of carry over.
Yeah, you're not going to get credited for everything, but a lot of it will.
Yeah.
I understand. Got it. That's cool.
But I wasn't planning to fly airplanes as a career.
Yeah, you were planning to do helicopters and do EMS.
Right.
Yeah.
And that just didn't pan out.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't happen.
After I talked to Sean and a couple other friends, I decided to start making phone calls. And I called another local school to start my commercial add-on. And I went to them and got that knocked out pretty quick, about a month and a half. I got it knocked out. I don't even think it was that long. I think it was a couple of weeks. I I got to wait for my check ride. And then after that, I needed to do an instrument add-on.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't exactly thrilled with my experience at last school. So I called a couple friends who had received training and locally, and I somehow ended up with Owens Flight Training phone number.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I called that guy.
Phew, that guy. Gotta watch out for that guy. Yeah, because I remember I was working on your instrument rating. Probably around 2015, I think. Or maybe it was 14.
It was
somewhere around
15 because I had just gotten married.
Oh, okay.
The only reason I know that is because I
had just gotten back from your honeymoon or
I
wedding?
went on the honeymoon.
And we started lessons right after the honeymoon.
No, I went on
Ryan, let's go.
No, the only reason I remember that so well is because I had finished all of my training and I was waiting to take my check ride in the midst of getting married and going on a honeymoon.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's a lot.
That wasn't so bad.
That's what I like to hear.
So
Yeah, it was a lot.
And that's what I thought.
So you ended up you're talking about your commercial.
Yeah, my commercial check ride.
Yeah. And then we didn't start till after you got back, I guess. And I mean, I don't know about that because you didn't say nothing about.
Yeah,
I just got back from my honeymoon. I just met you at that point.
So that's when y'all met.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we met. He was actually still in New Iberia. He had just gotten, because I called him in that time that I was waiting on my check ride. I was trying to line everything up because I wanted to do this as quick as I could, right? I had called him while I was waiting on my check ride, and I was like, okay, when can we start? Because my check ride is this day. Like, can I start that afternoon? Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know? Your airplane, you had just gotten or recently acquired 752.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it had.
And you had it in the shop putting your new radio stack in it.
Okay. Doing the 650 and all that stuff.
Right. I believe I was one of your very first instrument students in that.
Probably, yeah, because it didn't have all the equipment. I think it had an ADF. And so like we don't
want that.
We weren't going to use that,
No.
which is an old instrument navigation equipment. And so I got rid of that and put a GPS in it.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
The sad thing is it's so old, I don't know that
There's not that many around like to like it didn't even work right, I think. I think you had to like tap on it to get the needle to work
But
right.
hey, if it's in the airplane, you can be tested on it.
Yeah, that too.
So the best thing to do is just get rid of it.
Yeah, just get rid of it. just put in something new. So, yeah, I think that was 2015.
Yeah, it had to be because I got married in 2015.
Okay. Well, I can't, because there were some months when I bought 752, and I want to say I bought it in like the summer, so June or July. So I think that was 2014, and then it took a little while for me to get enough money to put that in there. So
it's just money.
Yeah. Yeah, it took
Make
a little
more.
while, yeah. So that's when we met and we started working on
Instrument. And you and I got that knocked out really quick. I want to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe.
Well, I think all you needed was 15 hours of
yeah, I had to do a cross country and
then just the 15 hours with the double I. So yeah, that's when we tried to shoot the approach to 2.9 and it they sent us out 3 times and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go somewhere else." That's back in the day.
You
in
know,
Lafayette.
you see those memes on Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on, and it's like Chad got mad again, and like the radios kicked in the car, and like the windows busted out. I feel like he was about to do that in the airplane. It was great.
It was very annoying. I think actually he sent us out twice because the other flight school here was trying to land.
I want to take a minute here and point out that this was almost 10 years ago, and he's still angry about it.
It was one of those tower people that we.
Oh yeah, we definitely did a tower tour and he brought it up. It was great.
I probably did. I'm still bringing it up.
He definitely brought it up.
Time.
Yeah, remember this one time?
Yeah, which one of you were doing that?
Yeah, which one of y'all was working? So let's see. So after we got your instrument, what happened after that? I forgot.
Well,
now.
you're too cheap to own a multi, so
Oh, you went to fly by night?
so I had to go to fly by night.
Oh, okay. I just bought a 172. I had just the 152 and the 170. I had just put in this expensive GPS equipment in my plane, and it was, I was tapped out. Okay, I was tapped out. I had no more money. So you went to fly by night, got your multi.
Yeah, which I think everybody you've interviewed so far has
gone to fly by night to get their multi. Yeah,
it's just the place to go.
I like to help out fly by night.
Yeah, I went over there. It took 3 whole days, I think. In the time of working on my ratings, fixed wing ratings, I had started visiting Signature and I don't know, Odyssey, Landmark. It was one of them.
It was, they've been different, called different. The same people.
Same people, different name.
Yep.
I had kind of started hanging out there quite a bit, trying to get to know people, drinking coffee. It's all about what coffee pot you're standing next to. And I met Cody Thibodeau.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that our Cody Thibodeau?
That's
our
Cody Thibodeau. Cody Thibodeau, yep.
Cody Thibodeau?
And
Mr. Thibodeau.
Yeah. And Trey Potin, met him.
Oh, yeah, Trey
Is that our Trey
Potin.
Potin?
That's our Trey Potin.
Our Trey Potin.
We got a big circle here.
Yeah, yeah. Started hanging out with them, talking to them, getting to know what they do and how they operate. And it just so happened, I'm not sure how this played out or how it worked out. It just did. Cody called me. I was on my way home from my multi-engine check ride. Said, "Hey, did you pass your check ride yet?" Yeah.
That sounds like Cody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You passed your check ride yet?
Like I on my way home, I just finished. She goes, "All right, good. Tomorrow I gotta take the King Air to Destin. You coming with me?" I'm like, huh?
That's how he got hired on.
So it kind of just all fell into place.
Yeah.
I did get paid for that trip only because he didn't tell me about the second part of it.
Oh, after Destin.
Well, I flew the airplane to Destin with him, but it somehow ended up driving a SUV back.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
A crazy catch.
yeah, I didn't find that part out till I was in the airplane.
Yeah.
It was great.
He had you trapped.
I mean,
Too late now.
Yeah, that's right. You can't say no.
I got multi-turbine time though. From there, I kind of just started building time. Oh, a wild story that I forgot to say. Whenever I took my it was my instrument ride. Took my instrument ride with you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was
That
fun.
was with Peyton.
Yep. All my check rides I've done except for one have been with Peyton.
Okay.
Helicopter and fixed wing.
Yeah.
Is that our Peyton?
That's
Yes,
our Peyton.
That's our Peyton. One of my friends worked for a big road construction company. He called me up. He's like, "Hey, we need pictures of one of our job sites or several of our job sites." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, we need them out of an airplane." I'm like, "Oh, I could maybe do that. I don't know." So there's some rules and caveats to having your commercial fixed wing license to what you can and can't do for hire, which I didn't really know. But you informed me that there was, in order to be a full-fledged commercial pilot with limited restrictions, you had to have your instrument rating.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. Oh, you must have asked me this whenever.
I think that's like when the call came.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what the job entailed. I just knew I had to do a bunch of flying and let some dude hang out the window and take pictures while I flew. So I took my check ride, instrument check ride in that morning with Peyton. That afternoon, I jumped in your airplane. I rented it from you.
Oh, did you?
To do a
Wow.
photo flight. right.
Yeah.
So in order to do a photo flight, you have to have your instrument rating?
I don't think so.
No, it's
that's what it sounded like you were.
well, there's a restriction on your commercial. If you don't have your instrument rating, you can't fly a plane commercially more than 50 nautical miles from the point of departure.
That's a very specific.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think like
and you can't fly at night
Well,
commercially.
oh, well, oh,
there's so many rules.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think one of or two of the job sites were beyond the 50-mile mark. And I was still kind of new to it, so I wasn't sure. I was just trying to be safe.
so to be safe,
Yeah, I was like,
Be
hey,
safe.
can you wait until this date? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, perfect.
the exact date,
That works.
not even the
Yes.
next day.
So glad I passed that check ride.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Fun fact, Ryan also does gender reveals.
Yeah, we
Yes.
haven't done that in a while.
no, we haven't done a gender reveal. Did one for you.
Did one for me.
Yep. Yep. We haven't done one. We always try to remember how we did the last one.
And we don't, so we just buy a lot of powder.
Yeah,
and
we
throw it
just
out the
get
window.
powder and just like, hey, how do we pour it out the plane last time?
I remember
Y'all get back and y'all are covered in whatever.
Yes. I hope they saw it.
Well, I was his first client for that. It was
It was an idea that you had, wasn't it?
it was all an experiment.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And then the second one was at in what Dusson? No.
What? Huh?
Where you had this? We did another one for you.
You were supposed to, but the clouds got too low. You got scared.
Oh, and we did the cake.
Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, is it just one person flying the plane and throwing out the powder?
No. We're safer than that.
Yeah, what he does is like when he gets to the spot, he wraps these extra seatbelt around the handle to keep the plane straight, and he just starts throwing stuff out the window.
No. We got a pilot. Yeah. No, we got a pilot and a guy to dump the powder.
I remember
So,
whenever
That could be anybody.
whenever I approached him
Yeah.
with this question and idea, can you do it? He's like, yeah, I think so.
That's exactly Ryan.
Yeah. So they went by I don't know where you buy baby powder in bulk, but they went by
I
baby
think we
powder in bulk.
found it on Amazon. There's like some powder you can buy on Amazon. Yeah.
Well, it was practice. It was like legit baby powder that they were practicing with.
Oh no. Yeah, the practice was baby powder.
And I
yes.
remember they came back.
Okay, please. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
They came back
I'm
because they went.
confused.
You know, Ryan is frugal. So he took his smallest airplane he had. The first practice run they did, I guess they dumped it out of the wrong portion of the window and it all went back in the airplane.
Yeah.
How many times did y'all practice this? Because if I was like a cop or something, seeing white powder being thrown out of a plane.
Somebody just lost a bunch of money. I mean, I met a guy who threw those out of a window.
Oh, we talking
Patches.
about Patches O'Houlihan. There was a guy in New Orleans that looked like Patches O'Houlihan.
There's someone that looks like Patches O'Houlihan.
I
Yes.
swear to God, I thought it was Patches
Yes,
O'Houlihan.
and apparently he was a drug runner back in the day from South America, or he would run from. He knew Barry Seals.
They were co-workers. Later verified. It's true. I didn't believe him, but it's true. Anyways,
Okay, so back to you.
back to flying with Cody. That kind of started something that I didn't realize would really get started is they started calling me because, you know, Trey and Cody work together for
Yeah.
that same management company. And they happen to need contract pilots pretty often. So they started calling me, hey, we need a right seat guy to come ride with us on this trip and this trip. And it kind of turned into almost a full-time job. We flew a lot.
Yeah.
For me, mostly in the Pilatus and the Meridian. So I built a lot of time really fast and some pretty quality airplanes for as low time as I was. And in the midst of doing that, my wife works at Signature, and she knew I was just kind of starting my aviation career and desperate. She was desperate for me to make money.
Yeah.
So anytime she heard someone in the lobby looking for a pilot or fussing about their pilot or needing a pilot, my phone number and business card was handed out, and I got a call from her. Hey, this guy's calling you. Answer it. He needs a pilot.
You need to work now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it really worked out. I mean, I took some chances. I would get a call from my wife, and she'd say, hey, you know how to fly a Cherokee 6? I'm like, maybe. Like,
Maybe.
oh, good. This guy needs you to fly him tomorrow. I'm like, well, yeah, okay. And I
Never flown the plane before.
no, not once.
Yeah.
I just had to fly him all over the place. He'd call me, hey, I need to go here. Are you available? And I'd say yes or no. And most of the time it was yes. And I'd always work that in between flying with Jake and that other management company. And then I got a call from you one day that, hey, would you like to fly a Bonanza? I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. So you did it the proper way. You said, hey, come meet me. We're going to do a proper checkout.
Let's go fly the plane first to get you comfortable.
I'm going to teach you how to fly this airplane. I'm like, you're going to teach me? Really? That sounds wonderful. So I went out to the airport, and we got in the airplane. You taught me how to fly it, and it was really nice. It seemed like a brand new airplane.
Yeah.
Well taken care of, and you're like, okay, cool. You're good to go. And I think you did like 2 lessons with me, and I was like, no.
I don't feel ready.
It was a newer airplane. It had the G1000. Yeah. It had all kind of buttons and lights and screens, and
I mean, you'd figure it out.
Like this airplane. This airplane talked to you. I mean, it told you things. It had gear that like moved and
terrain.
It did all kind of stuff.
It tells you when you're on the terrain.
No, when you're about to hit terrain.
It tells you when you're about to hit it. Ryan tells me, he's like, yeah, you're good to go. There might be a couple trips coming up. I'll let you know. And a couple days later, you called me and you're like, hey, there's a trip in the Bonanza. Are you free these days? I'm like, yeah, I got nothing going on. Okay, cool. You're going to Wisconsin.
Oh, yes. We went to Wisconsin. That was when I was
like, excuse me? Because, I mean, in the planes I fly now, it's like, no big deal.
It's not a big deal, but this is a Bonanza.
In a Bonanza.
It's not a plane that you just hop in and go to Wisconsin,
I'll never forget it. It was a 7-hour flight.
Yes.
From New Iberia.
Was that with the tip tanks?
With the tip tanks.
It had the tip tanks. All right.
Yep. Yeah, had the tip tanks.
You had to stop, but you stopped halfway because they had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's when I was still working for Acadian Ambulance, and that was one of, I guess, towards the end of my time there, I think.
No, it wasn't quite towards the end. You hung on for a couple more years.
Oh, okay. But we flew the Learjet.
Yeah, you flew.
Me and Paul.
Yep. Up there in the Learjet.
Yep.
In like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You were texting me. Hey, where y'all at?
Yeah.
Well,
what? Did y'all just leave? Where you at?
That was the perfect first flight in that airplane for me. Great. I mean,
you had 2 lessons. I figured you could handle it.
Look, I didn't know the customers I were flying.
No.
Didn't know the airplane.
And see, I taught one of them to fly.
Barely knew how to fly outside of the Louisiana landscape here. I mean,
how many states is that up there? Like
more than 2. Let's just say that. And I was just thrown to the wolves. It was fun. I mean, I was sitting up front, and I just figured out how to work the autopilot. I'm like, oh, this thing's fancy. Got autopilot. Hit the autopilot button. I'm sitting there. Going up there, it was so strange to me because keep in mind, I'm still new to this corporate aviation thing.
Yes. And these people
they're built a little different.
Yeah,
let's say that. Great people. Fantastic people.
They are good people. They're good people.
They're just built a little different, I'm flying up front, sitting in the left seat, and I have the owner, the principal, flying next to me because we had a full plane.
And he was he was a private pilot at the time.
He was a private pilot at the time. And he is sitting there with a full-blown charcuterie board on his lap, just cutting cheese and meat. I'm just like nervous, obviously, because still really in my mind, don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, hey, you want some cheese?
Yes, sure.
I get back a couple days later, and he calls me up. He's like, hey, are you free next week? I'm like, he tells me like 8 or 9 days. I'm like, yeah, I got it. What we got? He goes, oh, we're going to Key West. I'm like, dude, you need a regional jet. It's another 7-hour trip.
Yeah.
As much as I dreaded the 7-hour trip in that airplane, and I didn't so much dread the trip. I was still nervous.
Yeah.
I was still a brand new pilot, and I felt a lot of pressure. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted him to be happy. I wanted the plane to work right. It was a lot. Did that.
Threw you in there.
Yeah,
Sink or swim. Here you go.
Yeah. What a way to do it.
Wasn't there some issues with the plane once y'all got down there?
Yeah, so it turned out we're
gonna have to end this thing.
We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Flight Tales, woo-woo.
If you made it this far, you listened to the entire episode. And for that, we would just like to say thank you, and we hope you enjoyed it.
We would also like to thank Lance for sharing part of his story with us.
If you have any questions about today's episode or suggestions for future episodes, just leave a comment or message us and we'll do our best to answer. If you'd like to check out some fun aviation videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Owens Flight Training. Or if you'd like to get more information on becoming a safe, knowledgeable, and confident pilot, just head over to our website, owensflighttraining.com.